It was a stormy evening. The sky was dark, thunder rolled in the distance, and the rain poured like it was trying to wash away every dream left in Arjun's heart. He stood under a broken bus stop shelter, drenched, tired, and hopeless. His clothes were wet, but his spirit felt even heavier. At just 19, Arjun's life seemed to be falling apart. He had failed his exams twice, lost his part-time job, and the people around him never missed a chance to remind him that he was a disappointment. "You're wasting your time dreaming too big," they said. "Be practical, Arjun. Settle for something small." But somewhere deep inside, Arjun refused to believe that his life was meant to be ordinary. He looked at the streets around him, people rushing through the rain, chasing buses, hiding under umbrellas, and thought, is this what life is supposed to be? Just surviving. That night, as he walked home through muddy lanes, his thoughts echoed louder than the thunder. He had two choices in front of him. He could either give up like everyone expected him to, or stand up and fight for something greater, even if nobody believed in him. When he reached home, his mother was waiting. She smiled weakly, handed him a towel, and said, "Arjun, maybe it's time to stop trying so hard." Her words hit him harder than the rain. For a moment, he almost agreed. Maybe she was right. Maybe dreams weren't for people like him. But as he looked into the small cracked mirror on the wall, he saw something different. A tired face, yes, but eyes still burning with a spark. He whispered to himself, what if I try one more time? What if my next choice changes everything? That was the turning point. Not a big success, not a lucky break, just a decision. A choice to not quit. A promise to himself that no matter how many times life knocked him down, he would rise again. From that night onward, Arjun changed, not because the world suddenly helped him, but because he chose to help himself. He stopped blaming life for being unfair and started asking, what can I do better today? The next morning, the storm had cleared. The sun broke through the clouds as if to say, welcome back. Arjun put on his old shoes, picked up his notebook, and walked out the door, not as the same broken boy, but as someone who had finally taken control of his story. Because sometimes, the most powerful moment in your life isn't when you win, it's when you decide that you won't give up. The morning after the storm, Arjun woke up before sunrise. The world was still quiet, the streets damp, and the smell of wet earth filled the air. But something inside him had changed. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of purpose. He didn't know how he would achieve his dreams, but he knew why he had to. He looked at his reflection again, this time not to complain, but to promise himself. No more excuses, he whispered. If success has a price, I'm ready to pay it. Arjun began his day by finding work, any work. He walked from shop to shop, asking for a chance. Most said no, some didn't even bother to reply. But one small repair shop owner, an old man named Ravi, saw something in Arjun's eyes, determination. He gave him a chance to work part-time fixing machines. The pay was low, but Arjun didn't care. He needed experience, not comfort. Every evening, after long hours at the shop, he would head to a local library where he borrowed a dusty old laptop. There, under the dim light, he began teaching himself coding, business, and communication, skills he knew could change his life one day. While others his age were out enjoying weekends, Arjun spent nights surrounded by books, tutorials, and endless cups of cheap tea. His friends laughed at him. You think you'll be rich by watching YouTube videos? They teased. You'll end up like us, stuck and struggling. Their words stung, but Arjun had already made his choice. He wasn't doing it to prove them wrong, he was doing it to prove himself right. Months passed. The routine was tough. Work, study, repeat. Sometimes, he didn't have enough money to buy dinner. Some nights, he fell asleep at the library desk, his head resting on open pages. But each failure, each hardship, became fuel for his fire. One evening, after a long day at work, Arjun's hands were covered in grease, his body aching. As he walked home, he overheard a group of people mocking him again. There goes the dreamer, one said, laughing. Arjun smiled quietly and kept walking. He had learned something powerful. When you're chasing a dream, not everyone will clap for you. Some will doubt, some will laugh, but none of them can stop you unless you stop yourself. Despite all odds, Arjun continued. He started applying his new skills, building small websites for local businesses, earning a little extra income. It wasn't much, but it was progress. He began to see results, slow but steady. His parents still didn't understand what he was doing. His mother worried, his father remained silent, and the house was filled with unspoken tension. Yet, deep down, Arjun knew he couldn't go back. The path he had chosen was difficult, but every step was shaping him into someone stronger. Time passed. Arjun's small efforts began to bloom. His web design work caught the attention of a few local clients, and soon, word spread about the young boy who could fix machines by day and build websites by night. It wasn't fame, it wasn't fortune, but it was proof that his choices were starting to shape a new future. Then, one morning, an email popped up on his old laptop. It was from a large company in the city, an offer for a full-time job. The salary was good, the office was modern, and for the first time in his life, Arjun saw stability within reach. His parents were overjoyed. Finally, you'll have a secure life, his mother said, her eyes filled with relief. For a moment, Arjun felt proud. Years of effort had finally brought him something tangible. No more sleepless nights, no more hunger, no more struggle. But as he stared at that email, a strange silence filled his heart. This was the moment he had dreamed of, and yet, something didn't feel right. That night, he went for a walk through the quiet streets. The air was cool, and the city lights reflected in puddles from the last rain. He thought about his journey, the failures, the pain, the lessons. Everything he had learned wasn't just to find comfort, it was to build something meaningful. He remembered the promise he made to himself on that stormy night years ago, to never stop trying, to create his own path. And now, standing under those same skies, he realized that accepting the job would mean playing safe. It would mean giving up the dream of starting something that could inspire others. Two voices battled inside his head. One whispered, "Take it, you deserve rest." The other roared, "Keep going, your real purpose lies ahead." By dawn, Arjun made his decision. He walked into the office the next day, thanked the company politely, and said, "I'm grateful, but I can't accept the offer." The HR manager looked shocked. "Are you sure? People wait years for this opportunity." Arjun smiled and replied, "Opportunities come and go, but dreams, if ignored, fade forever." Everyone called him foolish. His parents were heartbroken, his friends laughed again, and even Ravi, his mentor, warned him about the risk. But Arjun knew what he was doing. He used the little savings he had to start a small digital services business. The first few months were brutal. Clients were rare, bills were many, and doubts grew louder than hope. But Arjun held on, reminding himself daily, "You don't grow by choosing what's easy. You grow by choosing what's right." And slowly, magic started to happen. One client led to another. His business gained recognition, his confidence soared, and the boy who once had nothing began building a name for himself. That bold choice, to walk away from comfort, became the turning point of his life. 5 years later, Arjun stood backstage, waiting for his name to be announced. The crowd was huge, hundreds of students, young dreamers, and professionals filled the auditorium. The same boy who once struggled to afford a bus ticket was now being invited as a guest speaker to share his success story. As his name echoed through the hall, thunderous applause followed. Arjun stepped onto the stage, his heart racing, not from fear, but from gratitude. He looked at the faces before him, faces filled with hope, curiosity, and the same kind of uncertainty he once had. He took a deep breath and began softly, "A few years ago, I was just like you, confused, scared, and unsure if my dreams even mattered." The crowd fell silent. "I wasn't born talented," he continued, "and I wasn't lucky. But one thing changed everything, my choices." He told them about the rainy night when he promised himself he wouldn't quit, the night spent studying in the library, and the day he turned down a comfortable job to chase a bigger dream. As he spoke, there was no pride in his voice, only sincerity. "Every time I made a choice," he said, "I wasn't sure it was the right one. But I made it with faith. And that's what shaped my future." He paused, scanning the audience. "You see, life isn't about waiting for the right opportunity. It's about creating it." Your choices today decide your tomorrow. You can choose comfort, or you can choose growth. You can choose fear, or you can choose courage. The path may not be easy, but it will be worth it. A young student raised his hand and asked, "But sir, what if we fail?" Arjun smiled gently. Failure is not the end. It's a message, a lesson that says, "You're trying." I failed more times than I can count. But each failure carved a stronger version of me. Remember this, failure only wins when you stop trying. The crowd nodded, deeply moved. Some had tears in their eyes, others quietly recorded the moment, hoping to replay it when they needed strength again. Arjun finished his speech with words that echoed through the hall and straight into every heart. Your future isn't written by fate, it's written by you. Every small decision, every bit of effort, every act of faith, it all adds up. The power to change your life doesn't lie in the stars. It lies in your choices. As he stepped down from the stage, students gathered around him, thanking him, taking photos, and saying, "You changed the way I see my life." Arjun smiled, humbled. He knew this was the real success, not the money, not the fame, but the impact. Because he had learned one simple truth. Dreams don't come true by chance, they come true by choice. And as the lights dimmed and the crowd applauded one last time, Arjun whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." If this story inspired you, remember, your choices shape your future. Choose courage, choose consistency, and never give up. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe, because more life-changing stories are coming your way.